Update. My ex wants me back. Should I tell his pregnant girlfriend? Original post. I posted a few weeks ago about how my manipulative, gaslighting, waste of oxygen ex, 34M, was trying to get me, 29F, back even though his girlfriend, 27F, is currently pregnant. I just wanted to give you all an update of what happened next. My original post didn't get many replies, but I want to just thank those who did reply, as it really gave me some things to think about and some great ideas of how to approach the situation, so thank you all. I ended up sending him a message letting him know that I knew they had never broken up as he said they had. I told him that I knew she was pregnant and I wasn't afraid to tell her what he was doing. He tried to deny everything and said that I must be mistaken and they had definitely broken up and she was not pregnant, and if she was somehow pregnant it was nothing to do with him. I'm not an idiot and I'm sick of him thinking he can continue to get away with blatant lies, so I sent him screenshots of the announcement from her public Facebook posts with him tagged. I basically told him that I wanted the full truth from him and asked him what made him think he was going to get away with manipulating and lying to two women who are both honestly worth better than him. I don't know his girlfriend. We have a couple of mutual friends, but I do know that everyone is worth more than a man who thinks his behavior is acceptable. He got a bit defensive but finally told me that he didn't love her and didn't want to be with her and that the pregnancy had just happened and she was so happy he didn't want to ruin her joy by leaving her. He told me that he really had meant everything he had ever said to me and that one day he thought we could work it out and be together. I told him I'd been done with him for a long time and wanted nothing to do with him going forward. He seemed upset and slightly shocked at this revelation, which honestly shouldn't have been that much of a shock to him as I had previously told him on multiple occasions that I was done. I told him that I have chat logs of all our previous conversations going back 3-4 years or however long it's been now since he came into my life. I said I have all the conversations where he had told me he was leaving her, the conversations where he had lied and said she knew he was seeing someone, all the chats where he had tried to manipulate me into staying with him, messages where he had told me he loved me and couldn't stand her and couldn't wait for their tenancy to run out so he could leave, and even him trying to reach out a few weeks ago and me saying I had moved on. I made him aware I had all of it and would be forwarding it to her because she has a right to know what sort of man she is having a child with. He practically begged me not to and told me she wasn't mentally stable enough to deal with this right now. Again with him blaming her mental stability when things aren't going his way lol. In the end he blocked me on WhatsApp, so I decided to leave it and didn't message her. I assumed, wrongly, he would just take this as a warning and do better. And then she messaged me on Facebook. She sent me a message accusing me of trying to ruin her relationship and start an affair with her best friend and soulmate. I don't know exactly what he had said to her about me, but I didn't want to be painted as the bad guy in this, so I decided to just go nuclear and send her literally everything and an apology to go with it. I told her that I had been seeing him before the pandemic and was under the impression they were separated and she knew everything. I also deleted his number from my phone, so in the screenshots I sent it showed his phone number so she would clearly know it was him who had sent the messages and he wouldn't be able to easily gaslight her into believing he was innocent. I calmly advised her to read everything, then she could make her own choices. I blocked her and him on Facebook and blocked him on WhatsApp too, and deactivated my Facebook account just in case anyone else tried to involve themselves. So that's it. I have no idea what the fallout has been. I'm keeping my account deactivated for a good few weeks and I want nothing further to do with this. Fingers crossed for her and the baby, she will realize he is pathetic and leave him to be miserable and lonely. I had wanted to do this as a way that would cause her as little stress as possible, what with her being pregnant, but either way what's done is done and she knows everything now. TL. Dr. tried to message my ex and get him to stop lying to his girlfriend. He blocked me. She messaged me accusing me of being the one to start an affair, so I sent her everything and then took myself off social media until everything blows over. You did the right thing. Wow. That guy is a moron. He could not deal with your rejection, tried to make you the bad guy. And punched himself in the face while doing it. Dumbass. How can someone be that fucking stupid? You told him you still had everything. You did the right thing. Honestly, she probably already knows he is an asshole but just doesn't want to face the truth, especially now that she's having a kid with him. She just wants someone else to blame for her shitty circumstances, and unfortunately for you, you're the easy target. Eventually she'll have to face the fact that the only one at fault here is her baby daddy. It was very nice of you to try to avoid causing her excess stress during her pregnancy, but she asked for it when she started accusing you of something you didn't do. Now it's up to her to deal with the fact that her soulmate is a liar. Hopefully they don't bother you again. The only thing that was a mistake was giving this guy a heads up. Someone who can cheat on his pregnant girlfriend isn't someone you can convince to do the right thing. Sending his girlfriend the evidence was the right thing to do. I doubt you were the only girl he's done this with, so hopefully this started a chain of events which has opened her eyes to what scum this man is. I hope you're feeling okay now that it's done with. It might be best to keep social media deactivated for now a very long while, just in case this person was successful in manipulating his girlfriend into believing this was all you. That must have been hard when she contacted you and accused you of all that. You did well on how you handled all that. Kudos to you for apologizing for? You have a kind soul to have apologized. Never go to war with a person who has the ability to destroy your life. He is what we call a pendejo. In all honesty, I feel like there's gonna be a follow-up somewhere down the line. You did the right thing. Now just ghost everybody in their circle and let them stew. Should I tell him my story? Is this something you would want to know? I, 31 female. Just slept with a guy, 30 male. I've dated for a week or so and we just had sex for the first time. When we finished and he pulled out of me, there was blood absolutely everywhere. He's quite large and I definitely felt stretched out, but it wasn't painful, only sore now. Thing is, I was raped when I was a teenager and I've recently been in therapy for it. So seeing the blood and everything made me have a bit of an internal meltdown. I really tried my best to dial it back. And I had to sit in his bath for 30 minutes crying whilst he cleaned up the blood in the next room. He comforted me at first, but I asked him to give me some space, which he respected. I felt sick, faint, triggered, and shaky. He was very kind and said that it's not the first time it's happened to him, but the other women weren't that bothered about it, but he was being very kind with me. I got clean dressed and gathered my things, hugged him and said that we should probably not do this again and that I'm sorry for ruining the evening. He said that the evening wasn't ruined, and that he would like to continue dating me but respects if I don't want to due to how distressed I was being. I'm a little bit worried he's blaming himself etc. as he asked if it was a bit too rough and hard. But I just didn't feel like I could mention that things are complex with me. I'm wanting to get guys' opinions on whether they would appreciate knowing, or if they'd be worrying or blaming themselves if this happened to them. I just don't want him thinking he hurt me or anything. If you're not ready to tell him, you don't have to, but I think it's important to let him know that in no way is he to blame. He sounds like a very nice guy. You can say something like, I'm not ready to talk about my past, but my distress was in no way your fault. You did not do anything wrong. If I was him, I'd want the background, but there is an if. He seems respectful of your boundaries. He might have thought he hurt you and he most likely doesn't want to do that again. Just don't let it turn into a trauma bond. I say only share your story with him if you see it going further. If you feel like you can open up safely, then do. Otherwise keep it to yourself, continue getting stronger and everything will be alright. I'm sorry for your rape. I'm sorry it has left you with so many emotions. Stay strong, you can do this. I'm a guy and know that life is complex and sometimes horrible. I would appreciate being told something like you were triggered, and if we keep dating someday you will let me in on it. 44M. If you feel that you can or want to tell him your story, then by all means tell him. If you are not comfortable relaying the details of your traumatic past, then tell him that it was not him but an event in your past. You may need to assure him that he didn't hurt you, you were just dealing with past trauma. This is what my wife said to me when similar event happened the first time we were intimate. Think of the event from his viewpoint. He made love to a beautiful woman, but he is obviously too big for her. Blood everywhere and hysterical crying. He probably feels like he seriously hurt you and is questioning whether or not he is physically deformed or so bad at sex that it hurts. Tell him something. If I were him, I'd very much appreciate you telling me. Look at it this way, he seems to have felt bad about it. You seem upset about it, so telling him would likely put you both more at ease. Like, how is it not unusual for him to have women bleed on him, absolutely everywhere? And for him to be like, yeah, this sometimes happens. Want to do it again? Don't care how big your genitals are, bro. Drive them with a tad more caution perhaps? I'm very sorry to hear about what happened to you. Hope you're better now. You don't have to tell him if you don't want to, but I think he would appreciate if you told him. He must be feeling bad for what happened and might think he traumatized you. He might feel like he fucked up somehow. At the very least, let him know your reaction was not his fault if he asks what is wrong. You don't need to tell him about your past, but perhaps that you are working through something difficult and need some time, space. F49. I've been divorced 3 times and each one was worse than the last. I know I might be sounding moody right now, but I have a lot to get off my chest. My first marriage was with my high school sweetheart. We were married for 2 years until he told me he was gay. The divorce was civil, but he still broke my heart. My second marriage was to my boss. He turned out to be an abusive asshole. He could be so nice to you, but when he got angry he just lost his mind. He also went crazy during the divorce proceedings and tried to ruin me. Thank God we didn't have kids or it would have gotten ugly. Speaking of which, at that stage of my life I was having an existential meltdown. I was older. I didn't know if I wanted kids, but I liked the option. My last marriage was to someone much younger than me. He was my personal trainer and we fell in love. Yes, the relationship was like 80% physical, but I didn't care. I was so happy. The divorce was a slow-moving train wreck because it became apparent that he was too immature for marriage and it was feeling like a mother-son dynamic and I was freaking out. I've been single the last year and I'm just getting so lonely. I miss curling up in bed and snuggling. My dog Dojo is nice, but he smells bad. Why couldn't I figure things out? Am I just not meant for romance? How long did you date them before marrying them? First, try bathing Dojo. That tends to help with the smell issue and you can get cuddles for emotional support. Then find a therapist and learn to love yourself. Well, you dated a gay guy, a boss and a personal trainer. The first one you couldn't have known was gay, but the other two? Dating a boss is a terrible idea. Dating a personal trainer is as well, especially one you admit was mostly just about the physical connection. I guess the answer is to just make better choices and stop getting married all the time. Quit marrying everyone you catch feelings for and learn to be happy single. You just have bad taste in men. Pick someone that you normally wouldn't. Maybe someone that's divorced themselves. Sounds like you don't have a lot of self-esteem. You're falling for all the wrong guys. It's best you stay single now. Work on yourself, love yourself, with the hell of a therapist, and then and only then find someone that truly deserves you. You're still young. Be patient. What did you share in common with these men? Did you have shared values and aspirations? You've rightly pointed out that lust only gets you so far. Long-term companionship is about being with someone because they're someone that you'd spend time with irrespective of the sex. At some point you need to stop going to the restaurant that keeps messing up your order. My husband, 36M, says he wants me, 36F, to put him first. I am sorry it's long and rambling. I'll try to keep it as simple as I can. My husband, 36M, and I, 36F, have been together for almost 8 years. Married 6 this year, we have no children. We've known each other since we were 16, lost touch a few times, then came full circle. Met up again. I moved 1,200 miles to live with him and we married. He always told me he loved that I was driven and had a good career, RN. I changed jobs amid the pandemic and left traditional bedside nursing. I got a job with an extremely well-respected company. Whereas I used to clock out and be done with work, sometimes I have overflow and have to bring some home. Not bad. Some charting, usually done around 5 or 6. Sometimes I have late-night charting, not often 2-3x per month max. I work full-time. He does as well. I have all the household responsibility, which it would be nice if he helped, but honestly, I don't care that he doesn't as long as he doesn't harass me if something isn't done. He is very into fitness. I meal prep snacks and meals for him. It's generally not a big deal, lots of cooking, 3/4 excess a week and meal rotation. I still work face-to-face with patients, just in a different capacity. Nursing as a whole is a train wreck at the moment. Way too many patients, not enough staff. That's just how it is. I work MF, 1 weekend a month. I get the Thursday before and Tuesday after off, 3-5 on-call shifts per month depending on staffing. Weekends are just always terrible. Limited staff, tons of ground to cover, high acuity patients, just rough. I had a terrible weekend. Long days, then charting well into the night with limited sleep just to wake up and do it again. My husband works very early in the morning, so he goes to bed around 9. I was supposed to meal prep last night, but I had a day and I was working late, so I said I'd de-cook Monday after work. I told him I needed a minute to decompress. Then I spent the 2 hours from when I stopped working to when I went to sleep taking a shower, walking my dog, and reading a few pages of a book. He was irritated I wasn't cooking, but let it go. Then when I came home today I was just a mess. Monday continued being awful because when it rains it pours, right? I finally finish seeing patients around 6 and make my way home with a few hours of charting. He has some meals but he needs a snack prep and his secondary meal prepped. Since I had already gotten home late and have tomorrow off, I just figured I'd stay up late, prep his meals and chart. I needed to defrost some meat before I could cook. I started prepping the other components when I came home, but takes forever and it wouldn't be finished until late. He was irritated and upset it wouldn't be done today. He said I say I'll do things and I don't follow through. When I finished prepping, I started charting, trying to put a dent in ASAP. He constantly interrupts me when I chart, so there's a lot of stopping and starting. I was in the middle of a note and he asked me to come look at something. I asked him to wait. He said, "Why can't you give me 5 minutes?" and I said the same. Due to this, he says that I put my work before him. We argued a bit. I asked for some slack, just asking him to back off. He said some choice words saying I was in a bad mood from a bad day. Then left me alone. When we came back together, he said that, "You're too stressed at this job, you should go back to what you used to do." I loathed my last job. I worked there because of a flexible schedule, but it wasn't worth it after a while. This job, with a great company, great benefits, room to grow, and a huge pay bump came up, so I pounced on it. There are so many reasons why this is infuriating. The main ones are that 1. He has a few super expensive hobbies. He loves doing these things, they bring him joy, so I encourage him to do them, and I participate to an extent. I make good money, really good money. My income is the only reason he has the freedom to do these things. I take on more than half of our joint financial responsibilities. So he has the freedom to blow cash on whatever it is he wants. 2. He doesn't have the first idea of what my job entails. With nursing you never know what you're going to get. I love my work. I tried explaining that both our jobs have ups and downs. The difference is that when I have a long day I have to come home and work more. Not always, but sometimes it is what it is, and I appreciate him understanding. He works, clocks out, then does as he pleases. He gets to come home and rest. He then said I should put him first. That set me off because I always put him first. I told him I am trying to take care of myself right this second. Trying to get this done so I can relax and not be worrying about it. I love my work, I find fulfillment in it. If that sounds sad, then I guess I am sad, but I take great pride in what I do and I enjoy doing it even when it's driving me insane. I feel like he either can't see or doesn't care that I was overwhelmed and falling apart at that moment. If he doesn't see it, then he thinks I am not caring for him. If he doesn't care, then he just doesn't care. I am literally just exhausted and I want a break once in a while. I am not a robot. I have him in my thoughts with anything. He doesn't have to do anything. I am the type of person that shows love through acts of service. Unfortunately, he doesn't reciprocate, he wants attention. I get it, I am busy with work, he doesn't get the attention he needs, but sometimes I feel like his personal assistant. I found his words to be so unbelievably selfish. I was actually disgusted by him in that moment. Put him first? I am literally about to crack. I felt like I was falling apart right in front of his eyes, and all he could see was that he didn't have lunch for work. I tried explaining that he was making an already stressful situation worse instead of being supportive, which is literally the only thing I ask of him. The point to this ridiculously long story. How do I explain to him without being accusatory that I understand what he's saying, but I don't have to do any of those things? I choose to care for him, but there are limits. I mean, I need to care for myself too. Everything I say sounds harsh and I don't want to be harsh. I want him to hear me. Thank you for reading this rambling rant. TL. DRRN's got stress. Husband thinks she is putting her job above him. In reality, RN just needs a break and some self-care from time to time. He doesn't seem to understand. Edit. I was thinking about it when posting, but he does do some things around the house. Outdoor work, house maintenance, some easy car stuff, opening pickle jars and all that. I guess I see the kind of work he does as more spread out. Yard maintenance and all that isn't a daily occurrence. I was speaking of daily household things, those I take care of. I feel bad I didn't write that, and it sounds like he does nothing, and that's not true. For the past few months he's got work stress too. He has also works long hours throughout the week, 55-60 generally. Why isn't he preparing his own meals with his extra time? We have no children. Oh, you have a child, all right. You sit down and explain that if he made his own meals you could spend that time finishing up work and then you could spend time together. Instead, he chose to use your time to have his meals made. That's his choice. Honestly, explain there's a finite amount of time in the day. If he wants you to spend it doing all of the household duties, then no, you won't have time for him. If he shared the household duties equally, then you would. He can decide. Please excuse my bluntness, but your husband is an entitled asshole. Nursing is a tough job and he should know that. You're not his mommy either. A meal ticket that literally cooks his meals while funding his expensive hobbies. Then he has the audacity to whine that you aren't paying enough attention to him. That's what you are accepting in your marriage. What does he bring to the table? He sounds incredibly entitled and selfish. If he's stressed at work, he should not take it out on the person who is making his life easier and more bearable. That's just cruel. He can meal prep for his own damn self. I don't care if it doesn't taste as good, he needs to learn. Because what if you finally come to your senses and realize that you need to leave? He will figure it out then. I promise you. You pay the majority of the bills and do all the housework, and your money is what is allowing him to have expensive hobbies. He is unbelievably selfish, but why are you letting him make a fool out of you like this? What if he cheats or dumps you for another woman? Do you feel like your time and money would have been wasted for nothing? A healthy relationship is symbiotic where both parties are gaining benefit. You sound like a host with a parasite latched on. You are in major denial. He's a child who is taking advantage of your people-pleasing nature that you've convinced yourself is what makes you happy. This will never last. Enabling him isn't doing either of you any favors. Open this Reddit post you created and hand your phone to him. Let him read it. If you are worth it, he will not be mad but understood what you need. Marriage is 50-50ths. But some days it needs to be 80-20ths. Or 30-70ths. The point is, if you see your partner struggling, pick up some of their daily tasks. Do the dishes for them, change out the laundry. Mow the yard, take out the trash. It's not hard if you just listen to each other. Been happily married for 18 years.